What up, folks? It's your man AngGeon Double G hitting with a brand spanking new top 10. That's right, today we're gonna hop into 10 of my top 10 label logos, the record label logos, man. How cool is that? Before we go any further, I need you to go ahead and give this video a like, a thumbs up. Just go ahead and click it right there. This video is gonna be dope. If you didn't enjoy it by the end of it, just hit the thumbs down, no hard feelings. We're gonna hop right into this list, starting at number 10. Right into it. Number 10, I'm talking about Interscope Records, created by Ted Field and Jimmy Iovine back in 1990. This designing aesthetic, it has this lowercase I on there, and it's kind of leaning with this angle on it. It's kind of got this squiggly dot above the eye, which is really eye-capturing. When I was a kid, it used to really make me look at it like, what is this? It's kind of captivating and kind of made me think of those things when they hypnotize people. And man, this company, it started back in the 90s, back in LA and Santa Monica, and it's out of Universal Music Group, a joint venture with Atlantic Records and Warner Brothers Records. And they were trying to make something new and get these new hip hop cats and acts cracking. From Interscope Records, you're gonna get Eminem, you're gonna get Lady Gaga, Gwen Stefani, you're gonna get Dr. Dre, U2, you're even gonna get Playboi Carti, Billie Eilish, Bone Thugs, and some of my favorite, of course, you know, Bone Thugs is one of my favorites. One of my favorites, though, other than that, we have Busta, we have Common, we have Snoop, we have Weezer and the Shins. That's number 10. That's Interscope Records, and it had one of the coolest looking labels that I've ever seen. That leaning eye with the squiggly little dot on top of it. It's one of those iconic ones. But we're gonna hop into number 9. Number 9 is another classic one. This one is coming from Ruthless Records. I'm talking about Eazy-E and Jerry Heller, the 1987 record company called Ruthless. This joint, it starts, well, not it starts, but it looks like it's this music staff. It has these ragged letters that are in this font that has the designs inside of the letters, like bricks and other ragged looking materials. This company, it was founded in Compton, later located in Woodland Hills. Shout out to Woodland Hills. I used to be over there a lot picking up files for work. But this one was distributed from Priority Records, and it had relations to some of the notable acts that we have coming out of this. Ruthless Records is the one and only, the kings of gangster rap. I'm talking about NWA. They came from Ruthless Records. Dr. Dre, he got his kickstart there, along with Eazy-E, the DOC, Cocaine, Frost. We even had King T on there. It's inactive now. It's no longer in business. Some shady stuff went down with one of their bigger acts, Bone Thugs and Harmony. But Hopsin was signed to them. If you're familiar with Hopsin, he's done the Ill Mind series where he freestyles and does these crazy topics. You can definitely tell that he's influenced by Eminem. But anyway, that's Ruthless Records. And they are the reason I used to draw logos so much back in like middle school or something. I used to draw that logo a lot. Anyway, we're gonna hop into number 8. Number 8 is coming from LA. This one is Stone's Throw, and it's coming by way of Mr. Peanut Butter Wolf. Back in 1996, he started this company with his folks. And the aesthetic on this logo, it has this stack pipe-like font. It's bursting through this circle in the middle, and it has this black surrounding. It could also be white too if you catch it in like a reverse color, but it's pretty prominent. It kind of catches your eyes. It kind of looks like a coffee brand a little bit, but I really would get hyped when I would see this one in my later years because of the acts that were associated with this one. Now this one, it was a hip hop, electronic, funk, soul. The record label was created out here in LA by Peanut Butter Wolf and Charisma, and they were just trying to reach out, get new artists and get them out there, get people hearing them. Some of the current acts is No Worries, which is Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. We also have Dane Funk on there, but some of the most notable acts that we get from Stone's Throw is the legendary J Dilla, Madlib, MF Doom, Oh No. We also got Aloe Black on there. I hated that song that was popping from him a few years back, but one of my favorite albums from Stone's Throw is the Mad Villainy album from Madlib and MF Doom. All caps when you spell the man's name. Yeah, man, they created this compilation combo collab album. This is complete fire. If you never heard it, it's a classic underground album. You should go listen to it as soon as you finish this video and give it a like. But yo, back in 2014, they had a documentary which told the story of Stone's Throw. It was called Our Final Weighs a Ton. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out later on. It's got some appearances from Kanye and Questlove and Common. It's a very dope documentary. You should check it out if you haven't yet. But we're gonna hit this next one in this list, and that's number 7. Number 7 is coming straight from New Orleans. I'm talking about 1991 Master P No Limit Records. Now, I love this logo. It's one of those ones I used to see a lot right around the time where I fell in love with hip hop in the late 90s. I've always loved hip hop. but something about the late 90s just overtook me. Now this one, the aesthetic of it, it has this tank with 2 mobsters on it. They have Tommy guns, and then on the top it says No Limit, and on the bottom it says Records. Cool little information about this. Another one, this is another record label that was distributed from Priority and Universal Records Music Group. It was based out in New Orleans, and it was funded by the legendary Master P. The acts that we had on here, besides Mr. Master P himself, we had his son Romeo. We also had the controversial Mystical with his fast raps. We had Mia X, she had a really dope flow. We had Fiend on there, Soulja Slim, rest in peace. We also had the most notable Mr. Snoop Dogg. He went to No Limit Records back in 98, 97, once Death Row kind of went. Snoop jumped ship over to Master P's No Limit Records, got one of those chains with the tank on it. Man, I'm telling you, one of the biggest moments and biggest vibes from No Limit is when they dropped the movie I Got to Hook Up, and the song Make 'Em Say was a classic, but nothing beats their best-selling album, which comes from Snoop when he first hopped on board, which is his best-selling album from No Limit. It's called The Game Is to Be Sold and Not to Be Told. I remember I was living in Linwood at the time, and me and my cousin and my brother, we used to listen to that a lot. We used to go to Linwood, we went to the Linwood swap meet and picked up that album. Anyway, that's the No Limit Master P. Something so I can make them say, that logo is sick. If you see it, you already know. You probably seen it on like a t-shirt over at Forever 21, not Forever 21. What's that other shop called? Urban Outfitters. Anyway, we're gonna hop into number 6. Go ahead and give me a like. Number 6, we're gonna hop into it. 6 is coming from Steve Rifkin and Rich Isaacson, 1991. Their label called Loud Records. Now, this is the logo I used to see all the time when I would be flipping through the magazines. Anything that had to do with hip hop, watching anything on BET, there was always this logo that popped up somewhere on the screen, at the bottom probably. Super tiny maybe, and sometimes it was large and just in your face. But this Loud Records, classic, right? Alright, this design, it has a simple pair of headphones. It's wrapped around, it's arching over the word loud, and it's in this bursting font where it looks like it's almost bubbling, but not so much circular bubbling text, if you get what I mean. Anyway, it's gonna pop up somewhere if it didn't already, and you'll see what I mean. This one, it's under the parent company of Sony. It's based in NYC, and the hardcore hip-hop label that this was, it brought us classic acts like the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm talking about Big Pun, Mobb Deep, even Crazy Bone's solo act. I'm talking about Exhibit, 36 Mafia, Twista, even one of my favorite, the legendary producer, Pete Rock. He comes from Loud Records. Loud Records, he gave us classics. I'm talking about classics like Big Pun's Capital Punishment. I'm talking about the Beatnuts. Watch out now. I'm talking about Wu-Tang Forever. This was a logo that was ingrained in my brain ever since I was a little kid, flipping through the Source magazine, and I would see this Loud Records. The earphones, or the headphones actually, over the word loud. It's simple, yet effective, and I love that one. So we're gonna hop into the next one. 5, numero 5. I'm talking about G.O.D. music, Getting Out Our Dreams by Mr. Kanye West himself back in 2004. This one was founded by your boy, Yeezy. Now this design is pretty simple, but it's effective. It has these lowercase letters, they're stacked, and it has this angelic baby on top of the O's in the word good. And he's chilling right there with his wings kind of spread open. And he's kind of chilling, like I said. This label, it started back in 2004 with a starting lineup of Kanye, Ye, aka Yeezy. It had Common, it had John Legend. These were the forerunners of the record label Good Music when it first started. And this one's also coming out of Def Jam, which is the parent company to Good Music. They're no longer overseeing Good Music as of last year, and another no longer is Pusha T. From 2015 to earlier this year, pretty much, he was the president of Good Music, but he had a bit of a falling out with Kanye, but it looks like they're on good terms again, maybe. Or maybe Kanye's too busy getting some head in Italy on the boat. Anyway, Pusha T, he was the president from 2015 to 2023, and one of the biggest moments and one of the biggest team members that we had on Good Music outside of Pusha T and Common and John Legend, we also had Mr. Big Sean, we had Kid Cudi, we had Most Def, he had a stint there, but Teyana Taylor, I saw her last year in concert. I mentioned that before in one of my videos, man, she is amazing. If you haven't seen her in concert, make sure you take the opportunity to do that if she's in your town. Or maybe you're out of town and she's there. Go see her. She's dope. Q-Tip was also affiliated and signed to Good Music for a little bit. But thanks to Good Music, we get classics like pretty much every Kanye West album. And we get the Posse cut from 2012, late summer. I'm talking about Click. I'm talking about Lamborghini Mercy. That's good music right there. If you didn't have the CD, you probably didn't see that cool looking logo on the back with the angel. But yeah, man, some of my favorite tunes besides the Yeezy joints is Again by John Legend off of his second album. We're doing it again. Yeah, the Roots ended up sampling that one. That song is so dope to me. The Sky Might Fall by Kid Cudi. That's another underrated joint that I just love. It sounds like it could have been another extra cut that could have been included on 808s and Heartbreaks, but that's just me. Also, A Rose in Harlem by Teyana Taylor. If you never heard of Rose in Harlem, go listen to that when you finish this. On top of those other things I told you to do when you finish this. But make sure you give this video a like before you finish this. Anyway, it's late. That's why my eyes are red. It's pretty late. It's already past midnight. But the grind don't stop, right? Anyway, that's good music. GOOD, Getting Out Our Dreams. It's one of my favorite record labels. Got some of my favorite albums and some of my favorite moments. I always thought that the logo was perfect, especially for like t-shirts and hoodies. I just never bought one. 2, 3, 4. Number 4, you gotta love it, right? I. This label was created in 1994 by Dame Dash, Kareem Biggs Burke, and Mr. Jay-Z. I'm talking about Rockefeller. And this design, it's pretty simple, but it has this cool element to it. It's triple layered with the images. It's kind of cartoonish. It has this champagne glass on the foreground and it's bubbling in front of this capital cursive R that screams elegance. And it's sitting on top of this vinyl record in the background. This is another record label that branched out from Universal Def Jam Records, and it's this East Coast hip hop label that had this inescapable presence in the early 2000s and late 90s, and it was affiliated even with a clothing band called Rockaware, over to even the symbolic hand symbol that they used to do, that diamond right there that you used to throw up. That's the Rock right there. That's Rockefeller. That's Rockaware. That's Jay-Z. That's everybody who was there. And this one, it spawned from the record label. We got these iconic acts. I'm talking about Hova, aka the God MC, Mr. Jay-Z. We got Kanye West. His debut comes from Rockefeller Records. We also got Cameron and Dipset, aka the Diplomats. We got Freeway. We got the infamous Tierra Marie. We also got Nori on there for a little while. Jadakiss from the Lox was also there. We had the super producer, Mr. Just Blaze. You know, you used to hear that back in the day. You hear that in the beginning of the beat, you get hyped no matter which joint it was. From Pump It Up to freaking Why You Hate the Game to whatever he did with Kanye. Man, Just Blaze is just fucking incredible. Anyway, one of my favorite moments from the Rockefeller era was seeing Watch the Throne live, but seeing Yeezy live. I saw those shows live and they were incredible. You know what, my wife right now, she is at the Beyonce concert. She just texted me that Kendrick Lamar and Diana Ross just came out. And I'm at home recording this video. Anyway, I'm getting to it. I'm talking about Rockefeller. I'm talking about the logo. I'm talking about that ROC. I'm talking about that chain that people were just so hyped. I'm talking about a plethora of hit songs, timeless records. Not only hip hop culture did it contribute to, but it also contributed to American culture, black culture. And it just has this certain prominence when it comes to the East Coast and what you think of when you think of the heavy hitters of the 2000s when it comes to hip hop. And that piece of jewelry, the ROC chain, the rock chain, is one of those most desired pieces of jewelry by hip hop enthusiasts of all time. But you won't catch me in it because I don't wear gaudy jewelry. I love you though, Hov. The Rock. We gonna get into number. We're gonna get into number 3. Can you believe we come this far? Can you believe we come this far? Number 3, let's get along with it. I'm talking about the Joaquin, Darren, and Siobhan Dean. Siobhan Dean. Dean. Do you recognize that? I'm talking about the 1997 founded label called Rough Riders Entertainment. Now you know you love that logo. That metallic capital R with the prominent outlines and the sharp edges, and it's just simply stacked. Sometimes you have Rough Riders on the side, sometimes you have Rough Riders in between the R. That big R is just, you know, you saw somebody on the basketball court who had that tattoo back in the day. You might go to the basketball court and play a basket, a game of pickup. You're gonna find somebody that's 40 in the inner city. He probably gonna have one of those R's on his shoulder. I'm talking about this NYC-based record label. It got its kickstart in the mainstream back in '97 because they had this guy as their A&R. This dude named Irv Gotti. He discovered this guy named DMX, signed him to Def Jam Records, Mr. Darkman X, along with the Rough Riders, and that brought us the vicious pitbull female MC Eve. We also got the Locks, Dragon. He used to like my pictures a lot on Instagram. And the Dean's nephew, remember I put that emphasis on Dean? The Dean's nephew, super producer Swiss Beats, his last name is Dean too. The logo was on everything in our local swap meets back in the day. I'm talking hats, I'm talking bandanas, shirts, keychains. It's those sharp edges in the big letter, the R. It just has this badass, tough guy aesthetic to it. I'm pretty sure you can find it on somebody in your neighborhood. If you live in a big city, they probably got something with that big R on it. They used to also say double R. It also served, not only was it a record label, it was also like a bike crew. They were also on the quads and motorcycles, riding through the streets of Philly and New York and all those cities over there on the East Coast, those big cities, doing wheelies and stuff like that. Anyway, that's Rough Riders. The big R, that big double R. That's a dope ass logo. If you love it, like I love it, go ahead and hit the like. We're gonna hit it in number 2. We're gonna get into number 2. Number 2, I'm talking numero dos. Yes. Okay, we're taking it back to 1981. This is the record label created by Tom Silverman. It's another one that's coming out of NYC. Often credited with, hold on, we're gonna get to it. This design is so ill to me. I'm talking about number 2. This is Tommy Boy. It's a defunct record label now, but if you grew up in the 90s and the 80s and even in the 2000s, you saw this record label logo. It was everywhere. If it had something to do with hip hop, but they got kind of shady. This design, it just screams hip hop energy. It has 3 B-boys. They're posing underneath, doing this little funky little stance. They're doing this dance and this pose that's under the font and the words Tommy Boy. They're kind of stacked on each other with this cool looking, easy to read font. One of the B-boys on the far right, he's upside down though, and that's what really sets this logo and label off. It was something I used to see in magazines and stuff, or TV and stuff, before I even got into hip hop, even in the late 90s. I'm talking about those middle school days. Even before then, I'm talking about before I even started elementary, I remember seeing the Tommy Boy logo. It was so cool to me because it reminded me of breakdancing. Now this one, it caught my eye on TV. It caught my eye in the magazines and even in some movies and stuff, because they would do soundtracks. I remember they had soundtracks. If you know a Tommy Boy soundtrack, go ahead and list it below. If you're familiar with a Tommy Boy album or artist, like the ones I'm about to mention, this is an independent label. It was founded in NYC under Warner Brothers. ADA pretty much owns Tommy Boy. But this was their mainstream breakout back in the 90s, where they're pretty much responsible for introducing the world to EDM music and Latin hip hop. And they had these prominent artists. I'm talking about Queen Latifah, I'm talking about Coolio, House of Pain, Naughty by Nature, Digital Underground. They even had, yes, the controversial, not for who they were, but before who this record label is, De La Soul. They had some drama, some shady business that went down with De La Soul and Tommy Boy, and them releasing their music on streaming services. Tommy Boy didn't really want to pay De La. Rest in peace to those members of De La, and I hope they found some kind of peace before they passed away. It's an iconic label though. They gave us those issues with De La Soul But we can never forget who it introduced to us and whose solo careers it introduced us to. I'm talking about Everlast, Method Man, Ghostface Killer, even Gucci Stain, Dookie Stain. I fucking hate that dude. Anyway, you can't forget that Africa, Bambaataa, even Biz Markie, like the music with your mouth biz. He comes from Tommy Boy, that iconic upside down b-boy hip hop shit, man. I don't know if I want to tattoo it, but I only have a couple of them. But the Tommy Boy logo, that's a sick ass one. I think I need to get a sticker or something, put it on my skateboard, get a poster or something, put it in the garage. Tommy Boy Records, that's number 2. We're gonna move into the top one. God damn, this video's moving to the top one. I'm talking about the best, my number 1. Let me know what your favorites are. What are your favorite logos that I've mentioned in here? And if I haven't mentioned it, go ahead and mention it below. Let me know what one of your favorite logos in hip hop is. The record label or the artist. We can get into that too, maybe in another video, but let me know what your favorite record label logo is down in the comments below before we get into this top one. I'm talking about the top 10 record label logos of all time. I'm talking about number 1. We're taking it back to 91. And I'm talking about the DLC. I'm talking about a guy named Dick Griffey, a dude named Suge Knight, and Mr. Dr. J. I'm talking about number 1, Death Row Records, the greatest record label logo of all time. Now this one is super sinister. It has this crazy look to it. It depicts this man. He's in this electric chair and he's chained and buckled in with this bag over his face while his fingers are all twisted up and stuff. He looks like he's getting electrocuted, presumably. And it has these all capital letters that read with sharp edges to it. It says Death Row over the head, and then it says Records under his feet, scripted really low. That prisoner's feet, it just stings. It just hits you in the face like boom. What am I looking at right now? That's what Death Row is like. Anyway, this company, this label was recently acquired and revived by Mr. Snoop Dogg himself, which was a former pioneer of West Coast rap. One of the record label's biggest stars himself. He bought the label. Talk about full circle. Anyway, this one was also distributed through Interscope and Priority back in the day, and it was the home of the West Coast hip hop flavor in the early 90s. I'm talking about, this is the stuff I grew up on because I was born in Compton. I grew up in Inglewood. I grew up in Watts. I grew up over here in Linwood. I'm from that area. We really grew up on it. We really bowed that out here. I don't bang no. Anyway, I'm talking about the pioneers of G-Funk, man, and the evolving sound of NWA's gangster rap style and aesthetic. I'm talking about so many documentaries and things have covered Death Row Records, even a movie covering the history of NWA. It includes some history of Death Row. Some of it is kind of questionable, but Death Row is understandably the most controversial label of all time, and it's ironically matching the aesthetic of this crazy ass logo of this man on Death Row in his electric chair. Man, with so much media coverage and merchandise still trending to this day. I'm talking about to this day in September 2023. Some of this stuff is still trending. You can go to an outlet right now and probably find a Death Row t-shirt or something that has to do with Death Row. I promise you. But what do you expect from the most controversial record label in the 90s and probably of all time? I'm talking about artists. It gave us the artists. I'm talking about Prime Tupac, by far the most iconic. I'm talking about Snoop Doggy Dogg, Dr. Dre, Dogg Pound, Nate Dogg, and the affiliates, all the people that would affiliate themselves with Death Row, like DJ Quick, Sam Sneed, people like that, all those West Coast artists that would just hop on there. Even Jodeci would do records with Death Row people so much. But this one, it just reeks badass. It's the most iconic, it's the best, it's the dopest, it's the number 1 on my list. The Death Row record label or logo. Like we always do about this time. Alright man, I'm gonna get the hell up out of here. I really gotta go. This has been my top 10 record label logos. Let me know what you feel about this video. I appreciate you sticking through. It's been quite the lengthy one, but we made it, baby, and we out here. I appreciate you. Got some more music coming as soon as I get this laptop. Thanks, man. I'm out. It's your man AngGeon Double G. Us, the folks. Hit the like. Appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.